We will be joined by Mr. Allen Pallard, who is the founder of the SANS Institute. He is such an integral part of our ICS story. And honestly, this is going to sound strange, but a personal hero of mine. Just with every interaction I've had, I have always learned and grown personally and professionally. Every time I work with him, meet with him, talk about a difficult problem. And Allen, like Mike, has a profound capability of seeing these big challenges and really just an uncanny ability to find the right people in the world with the right mix of kind of passion and brilliance. And then he just enables these big dream efforts that can absolutely change and shape the world. Allen, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today. And I will advance the slide for you to this first session, which is going to be on the Assante Scholars element.
Wonderful, Tim, and thank you. This is about 3 people, this first session, and to introduce why they matter for the field. I want to go back 1 year this week to Mike's memorial ceremony at the RSA conference, where most of us, it was the last time we saw each other. And just remind people who were there what the reason is that Mike wanted to create a pipeline of these extraordinary people, the first 3 of whom you'll meet today. He and I were talking about power systems and what we could do to protect them. It was in the aftermath of several things, including the CIA making the first announcement that through remote control of power systems in 2 other countries, the power went out almost a decade ago. And we were talking about what it is that actually can protect these systems. And we talked about it a lot of times, and he made the critical game-changing statement to me. He said, when other states, other nations decide that they want to take on the United States, they start with an unlimited budget, not a budget, an unlimited budget of whatever it costs from the head of the nation. And with an unlimited budget, they buy every known hardware and software defense, every known, because they're commercial. And to the extent they're not commercial, they find ways of getting copies of them. And they use those to craft the tools that they're going to deploy, both for reconnaissance, but more importantly, in time of war, for disabling the power systems, because that's how you do warfare. And because they have bought every known defense, we on this side cannot depend only on our defenses. And I said, well, what do people do? And he said, the only defense in that situation is an extraordinary practitioner who not only has a deep understanding of cybersecurity, but also is completely aware and knowledgeable of the environment, the technical environment, the networks, the systems, the applications that he's defending or she's defending. And if you want a hard job, Allen, help us find those people. And that was the beginning of what has become a program that was first mentioned publicly at his memorial program. And now I'm going to tell you a little more about it, even though it's not going to be public. Even though people are flowing through at a very high rate, it's not been publicly announced as a big national program that it is. So let me introduce well, first of all, let's go to the next slide. Or are we on the next slide? I've got this extra slide up in front of me. Come back 1. These kids, in order to be that extraordinary person, had to go through a 5-step process. And you're sitting here watching it, so you already know what it is. But there's a typo on this slide. That 6,000 was actually 13,300. I put the 6,000 on it, and I was looking at the wrong cohort. So it's 13,300 people who tried out. Of those, 440 got through it. And what we were looking for there was not whether they were a hobbyist and knew how to hack things. We were looking for very high aptitude. We have an extraordinary aptitude test. It'll find people who can be good. But more importantly, at that stage, if they had the aptitude, were they curious, and did they have grit? Did they have the tenacity to get through this extraordinarily challenging game? You can call it a game if you want, but you can learn to reverse engineer binary code in it. So it's a game, but that had the ability to find the best. And then they had to do the foundations curriculum. This is what sort of all the people who lead cybersecurity teams understand is the great challenge, which is a lot of people get into the field without knowing networking and operating systems and Linux and programming, and they have to teach them. But if they haven't ever learned it hands-on, sometimes they never become good. So they had to go through every single area. We call it anatomy for surgeons. You can have a surgeon who knows how to cut, but if she doesn't know anatomy, she's just dangerous. So this is the anatomy for cybersecurity. And then they were interviewed for professionalism. That got 250 down to 100. They had to complete 2 tough SANS courses and the certs, and they had to get honors on the certs. That's how you get a 4.0, is getting honors on the certs, the certifications. And then they had to choose ICS as their specialty area and get better than 90% on the exams for that area. So you can see if you start with 13,000 and you get 100, that's what we're looking for. And these are 13,000 people who thought they might be good. So that's who these people are who you're meeting. So let's meet them. Let's go to the next slide. Christy Capelli just epitomizes what we were looking for. She found ICS when she saw what was going on in the electricity grid during an academic decathlon about 6 years ago, and decided she was going to do something about it, do something about the vulnerabilities. She went to Berkeley, one of the top schools in the country, with a degree in applied math. She won this competition, was one of those 100, did extraordinarily well on it, and she's currently employed in I'll just say an important position in Washington. And she hasn't stopped learning. That's the characteristic of these people. They don't stop learning when they get to a certification or degree. She's getting a master's degree in computer science at Johns Hopkins. So that's an example of what you're looking for. Remember what she had to do. She had to beat 13,500 other people in a very technical challenge. So she starts with the technical foundations. She had to be curious and tenacious and learn very fast. She had to have a personality that people would want to hire. It's just, they're extraordinary people. So if Mike were looking at me now and saying, well, did you do it? I would say, yeah, I think we did. I think we did exactly what you wanted us to do. Let's go on to the next one. Craig, who is with us, Kristy couldn't be with us, but Craig Ruslowski, who is with us, was working at Georgia Tech in the IT help desk. That's a wonderful pathway, because it's the pathway that most people used in the early years. But he became a security researcher, and he's leading the ICS security research at Georgia Tech now. And I think he wants to get on with a job of actually going to work in the industry where he can make a direct difference on protecting them. And our third winner is Rihanna Zubie, who had a professor who said, your password's not good enough, and she, having a hacker personality, explored that. Let's just say explored that problem. She won the scholarship. She was turned on. Thank you, Leslie Carhart. She was turned on to the physical cyber connection with Leslie's blog, I guess. And now she is being interviewed. And if the person who's interviewing her, who's on this call, doesn't hire her, my guess is someone else will in the next few hours. So you might want to go ahead and do that. Those are the 3 people. They come through a huge pipeline that is highly refining at every step, as you saw. I'd like to go to the next slide because I want to show you how that program is today. So they started 2 years ago and they're now out of the program. This is the program that is running as we speak. 27,200 high school students are currently playing that game that all these people played. 18,000 college kids are in some phase of playing that game. Our expectation is, this is just this year's cohort, that 3,400 of the high school students will qualify for the national championships, and we have an open enrollment for college kids in the national championships. They're in separate cohorts, but they're vying for $2 million in college scholarships. College of their choice for the high school kids, the college they attend for the college kids. The college kids get $1,000. The high school kids get $2,500, exactly the same as the National Merit Scholars get. And the 3,000 who do best in that will also be invited to the Cyber Foundations Academy this summer, where they will learn all of those foundational topics, the anatomy of cybersecurity. We're anticipating that some of them won't want to go on. They will be doctors or lawyers or something. That's fine. But we think about 2,000 of them will choose to pursue applied cybersecurity in their colleges, or at STI, which these three winners did. But they will choose to do it, and we'll support them wherever they go to school. And we think we'll get a yield of about 80% of that and have 1,200 out of the 27,000, which is a really good yield. It might be lower than, out of the 45,000, it might be lower than that. The question came up, I've got 60 seconds left. The question came up at Mike's ceremony. What can we do? What do we do to help? And the answer is you can do 5 things or more, actually. But one of them is we are looking to build a huge library of videos of people who work in cool jobs in cybersecurity who can tell their stories, so that every high school kid who's interested at all in cybersecurity can go in and find out what the jobs are like, how people got there, and see people, real people in cool jobs all over the industry. And also, more importantly, if you have any relationship with high schools and colleges, in the fall when the new cohort opens, we'll ask you to help get the word out for kids to try the game. There'll be 3,000 winners, and many of them will be in your cities. The second thing you do is celebrate them. The third thing, a really important one, is you can help us validate all the topics in anatomy. We have 400 organizations who've said, yeah, those are the things that our professionals say they should have learned or they have to learn in order to be competent. But we think we haven't gotten it all. So that's an important one. And there'll be panels of employers during the Foundations Academy. When we finally find the near winners, we're going to need help on interviewing them. And to become named a cyberstar, you have to build a tool that other organizations can use, and we'll need help with that. So if you want to help, I will put something in the little box that has notes in it, whatever that is, Tim. So you can write an email to that. But if you just search for CyberStart America or Cyber Fast Track or National Cyber Scholarship Foundation, you'll see lots and lots about this program. So thank you, Tim, for the time, but mostly thank you to these 3 people who chose it. By the way, we got to get the number 3 up from 3% of the 100 to something like 25% of the 100. We don't know how to do that, but we'll work on it.
Alan,
Tim?
thank you very much. This is just amazing honor to Mike and his legacy, and the things that he was really, really passionate about always came down to the people that did the work, did the jobs across these industries. And just thank you so much for letting us do this amazing stuff. Anything you want to put in chat for us, we will move over to Slack, so it's available to anybody that wants to research through this or find it later. Anything you want to pin in that chat window, we can absolutely make that happen. I had the opportunity to meet and talk to the scholarship winners, and again, just amazing people. Not just kind of the slides don't capture what wonderful people all 3 of these individuals are, and as you indicated, I imagine they are all going to be at this conference for many years to come, and soon will likely be on stage talking about their experiences, what they're doing in work, hopefully in leadership positions years in the future, and bringing in more people that are Assante scholars into their organizations. Thank you again, Alan.
You're welcome.